All right, so we're going to continue on with where we left off here. The notes after the parabola is on completing the square. Now, this is something that you did in Integrated 2. How good are you at it? Don't know. And so we want to make sure that we can do this because you can see where all the parabolas are in a certain form. They're in a vertex form where I can easily see what the vertex is. Well, what if I had asked you to graph this without knowing the x plus 4 squared part? How would you do it? I don't know. You'd make a table, I guess. I don't know. Maybe if you understood how to find the vertex with the negative b over 2a formula from Integrated 2, fine. But what we really want to try to do is take a quadratic equation and rewrite it as a completed square, as a perfect square trinomial is what they call that. All right? So how do I go from here to here is what we're trying to look at. How do I go from here to here? Now, it's through this method of completing the square, which again, you have done before, so this is not brand new. Okay, here is your method for doing it. I'm going to kind of walk you through. Don't skip ahead. You need the review on this. Again, I've taught this stuff for a long time, you guys. You know I know what I'm talking about. So, again, make sure you're watching and paying attention. All right, so here's what we need to do. So we're trying to go from here to here. From here to here, how do we get that? Here's step number 1. You take the number that's in front of x. You might remember this from last year. So the number in front of x is 18. You divide it by 2. Now, I know you know 18 divided by 2 is 9, but write that number down. That is important. So 18 divided by 2, the number in front of x, you divide by 2, and then once you get that answer, you square it. Okay? 9 squared, that's 81. And that's the number that you'll add. Now, just reviewing factoring from earlier in the year, you'd put 81 on top, 18 on the bottom, you'd need 9 and 9. So the factoring here is x plus 9 squared. You should be saying, oh, that's how I make it look like this. I take the number in front of x, divide it by 2, and then square it. Now, some of you are wondering where'd the 18 go. It's in here. If you multiply this out, remember, square the front, x squared, multiply the parts and double 18x, square the back, you get 81. That is this in a better form. Now, one of the reasons why I told you to write this number down before you square it is because it will always be this number in the parentheses. Okay? That 9 here is what we're going to have there. We still need this 81 because we're going to have to add it to both sides. You'll see as the lessons progress. But this is a number that will get in the parentheses. The number squared goes here. So what I'm saying is to complete the square, to figure out what number I add to create a perfect square trinomial, I take the number that's in front of x, negative 4, divide it by 2, that's negative 2. Negative 2, I'm going to square it, and that's positive 4. So again, it was negative 2 before I squared it, so my factor is going to be x minus 2 squared. And again, you should be looking at it saying, oh, okay, I see. I'm trying to make this look more like this. Would you say that we're getting closer when I write this like this? Now again, there's a way to do this. Now, if the number in the middle is odd, uh-oh, got to deal with fractions. That's okay. Okay, again, we'll take the number in front of x, 7, divide it by 2, leave it 7 over 2, square it. That's 49 over 4. You square the top, you square the bottom. Don't go grabbing for your calculator. You do not need it. You'd rather have the fraction. So square the top to get the 49, square the 2 to get the 4. That's the number that you would add, 49 over 4. Again, I'll be teaching you what to do with that. The factoring then is the number before you squared it. It's going to be x plus 7 over 2 squared. And that would be the completed square factoring. So, again, the idea is completing the square helps us rewrite a quadratic equation in vertex form. We need this form to easily graph. You'll need that in pre-calc. You'll need it in your intro to college math class. You'll need it in your college math class. You've got to be able to write things in this form. So that's where we're headed now. So go ahead and turn the page. Let's go to the next page, and let's try to actually rewrite the equation in the vertex form. Now, just like I like to do in class sometimes, let's jump around from kind of easiest to hardest as we go. So let's go down here to extra practice, letter A. Okay, I want to rewrite that in vertex form so that I can find the vertex and line of symmetry. Okay, a little bit of extra work coming there. We'll get it. All right, so again, what are the methods? The method is this. Take the number in front of x, 6, divide it by 2, that's 3, and then 3 squared is 9. You don't need to write this 6 divided by 2 part, but you do need to write this 3. The 3 squared is 9. Now what you do is you add the 9 to both sides of the equation. Okay, add the 9 to both sides of the equation. Because if I add 9 here, I have to add 9 there. That's a new step. Again, I hope you guys are watching. If you're not watching, you're not going to get this. There's just no way. You can't teach this stuff to yourself. All right, make sure you're watching. You're doing the work. All right, so what do we have now? We have y plus 9 equals. Now this factors, remember what I told you on the page before, that you have a positive 3 here that I squared. That's where the factoring is. X plus 3 squared. The number before I squared it is what goes here. Now you want y alone, so subtract this 9 back over, and you have your equation now in vertex form. That is how you do it. Okay, again, you take the number in front of x, divide it by 2, square it, add that number to both sides of the equation. Right? And there's what we have. Y equals x plus 3 squared minus 9. Now, if I wanted to know the vertex here, I would say the vertex is negative 3, comma, negative 9. Okay? Again, it's the opposite of what's in the parentheses, comma, back number. Now, line of symmetry always goes through the vertex, and it's always the x part of the vertex. Okay, unless you have a sideways opening parabola, we're not going to really get into sideways opening parabolas. Okay, so your line of symmetry, I always abbreviate it LOS. Okay, your line of symmetry is going to be x equals negative 3. Whatever the x part of the vertex is, that is your line of symmetry. Okay? And a line of symmetry is just, if you have a parabola, so let me just draw a quick picture. It's a dotted line that would fold the parabola into 2 equal parts. If you fold it on that line, they'd land right on top of each other. All right, so let's go ahead and move to letter C here. This one's a fairly easy one to do, and then we'll do a few more as we go. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to take letter C, and again, I need to move the 90 to the other side. You can't have this number over here to complete the square. You got to have just x squared and just x. So move your 90 to the other side. This is a new step. So you're going to have 90. Now what I do is I basically ignore the f of x and just bring it back at the end. I know I wrote the y here, and that can be like an f of x too. That's fine. But you don't really need that y until the very end. You don't really need this f of x till the end. So again, I'm just going to move this 90 to the other side. All right? And that leaves me with x squared minus 10x. Now again, notice the way we've been doing it. We have x squared and x on the same side, x squared and x on the same side. Okay, so now what you want to do is take the negative 10, divide by 2. That's negative 5. Square it. That's 25. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add that 25 to both sides of the equation. Add the 25 to both sides. Okay, now, if you do that, 25 plus 90 is going to be 115 equals, remember, this is going to factor into what it was before you squared it. So it'll be x minus 5 squared. It was negative 5 before I squared it. Now move your 115 to the other side. Get the f of x back in there. So again, I just kind of ignored it, but it's still there. I just didn't write it. Move this 115 back over by subtracting it. X minus 5 squared minus 115. And now you have it in vertex form. Your vertex will be 5, comma, negative 115. And your line of symmetry is going to be x equals 5. Okay? All right, we're far from done. We got a lot still to do. And this is a long day, I know, but, you know, I mean, let's be honest. You've only had to work a couple days a week, all right? So it's really not that bad. So we got to kind of, you know, just grind through this a little bit. Make sure you're watching all the videos. Again, hard to teach yourself. Let's get this done. Alright, so I'm going to switch to another video, and you take a little break, but come back and get on it.